The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Bob Bell. I'm from Merit Solutions, and I wanted to thank you all for joining us today for our demo of Microsoft Dynamics 365 for finance and operations. Before diving into the meat of our presentation today, I wanted to take a couple minutes to set the stage for what we hope to cover. I plan on taking a couple minutes to briefly introduce why we're here, and then get into Microsoft Dynamics 365 for finance and operations, and briefly discuss Merit Solutions. I only have 4 more slides to go through, so this certainly won't be death by PowerPoint, and then we'll get into the actual demo of Dynamics 365. If we have time for Q&A at the end, we'll certainly try to accommodate those questions. If not, we can answer any and all questions offline following the event, so please use the Q&A panel on the right-hand side of your screen to send over any questions you have throughout the presentation. And then finally, this webinar is being recorded, and we will share the recording with all attendees following the event. So I figured I'd start with this slide because at Merit Solutions, we truly do believe that we're going through a digital revolution. And much like the previous 3 industrial revolutions of steam, electricity, and the rise of computers and the internet, the digital revolution is bound to drive dramatic and lasting transformations. Before going any deeper, I think it's important to note that the digital revolution is driven by the rise of big data, the growth of the cloud, and new intelligence capabilities, including mobile, IoT, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. It's commonly talked about that data is a key strategic asset, but as companies have so much access to data, it's becoming increasingly difficult to understand how to make that data useful. So we're here to talk about why we think Microsoft is well positioned to help companies navigate the digital revolution with Microsoft Dynamics 365 and the Azure Business Platform. And so as we move slides here and refocus on what is in Dynamics 365, for those who haven't seen it yet, over the last year and a half, we've seen a shift in the Microsoft Business Applications landscape. Traditionally, Dynamics has been split into what we call ERP and CRM systems. And with the release of Dynamics 365, Microsoft has really set themselves apart with what is truly an integrated enterprise business platform. Not only does it handle traditional back office processes and what used to be called ERP, but it also links up with what was known as CRM. And on this slide, you can see that in the marketing, service, and sales functionalities. But it doesn't end there, as Dynamics 365 also includes functionality for talent, or what we know as traditional HR, for project service automation, retail, field service, and much more. I think the key here is that Microsoft is now providing a platform to cut down on integration costs and silos of functional data, working with your analytics tools like Power BI and your productivity tools like Office 365, trying to provide a way for companies to have easy access to all their enterprise data through one single business platform and enabling them to more easily accomplish tasks that go across business groups or locations. And not only does the platform enable that cross-team collaboration and improve effectiveness, it can also scale and grow with you. So we like to say that Microsoft Dynamics 365 is the last business platform you'll ever need to implement. And while the Microsoft Business Platform includes all those different integrated functionalities that we just saw in the last slide, today we're here to focus specifically on the finance and operations application. So I wanted to spend a minute or two to give some context around the functionality and solution set of the finance and operations application. Starting at the top of the screen, we can see that there are many different ways for users to interface with or interact with the data inside the application, whether that is through mobile phones or tablets, web browsers, or other tools like Power BI. Then in terms of actual business capabilities, there are numerous functional areas within the finance and operations application. So you can see that it covers supply chain management, production, finance, retail, and so on. So we wanted to show this slide just to give you a sense of the robust capabilities of the solution. And finally, at the core of all that is the power of the Microsoft Cloud. So Microsoft Dynamics 365 is hosted on the Microsoft Azure platform, which not only delivers the solution in a consumption-based model where you pay only for what you use each month, but also provides companies with the best capabilities of the Microsoft Azure stack, which includes IoT, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and more. So now we're on to my last slide, and I wanted to give you a quick introduction to Merit Solutions, who we are as an organization, to help further frame our discussion today. At our core, Merit Solutions is a consulting firm headquartered in Chicago with 5 offices throughout the US and in Europe. And our strategy is to be deep and not wide, so we focus 100% on the Microsoft Business Platform. And I think we're really unique right now in terms of Microsoft consulting organizations, as our expertise reaches across the entire platform. From those traditional ERP and CRM apps that are now found in D365, all the way to the newer digital capabilities such as mobile apps, IoT, and machine learning. So we are capable of being your single source provider of all your digital technology needs. And that's not something we've seen many other organizations capable of promising and delivering. But what I think is most important to our clients and to those on the call today are those client satisfaction scores. Thanks, Josh, for bringing that back. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is a trailing representation of the previous 15 quarters of our client satisfaction scores, where you can notice that our clients consistently rate us above a 4 out of 5. Again, we think this is extremely rare in a space where 55 to 75% of projects fail to achieve their desired objectives. So we're really proud of those scores and do whatever we can to achieve successful outcomes for our clients. And with that, we're through all of my slides and we're ready to dive into our demo. So I'd like to introduce my colleague, Chris Berg, and let him begin the demonstration of Microsoft Dynamics 365 for finance and operations. Chris, the floor is all yours.
Thanks, Bob. So today we are going to be going over a overview demo of Dynamics 365. I'm going to go ahead and show my screen. So we're going to first talk about navigation overview. Then we're going to go kind of through the Microsoft ecosystem as a whole. We'll dive into some workspaces and some personalization, show you what are called task guides and part of our Rapid 365 offering. We'll show you how you can open various pieces of forms and functionality directly within Excel and have that sync back to the ERP platform itself. And then we'll finish off with some Power BI and some natural query language within the Power BI. So I'm going to jump right into the application. One of the first things I wanted to bring up was what we consider a familiar user interface with Microsoft. They have gone to great lengths to make their ERP platform for this finance and operations simple to use with a small learning curve in the hopes of easy adoption. Now, compared to other ERP platforms, you're going to see a lot of improvements or a lot of enhancements that we'll go over today that really have the user in mind to make this an easy to use product. Now, one of the pieces we will go into are some of the Microsoft products and how they are actually embedded into the solution, not just integrated. So first of all, as Bob mentioned, the core of the product is the Azure cloud. As you can see, what I've highlighted here is our web-based URL. So our Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is actually running on the cloud. So what does this mean? It means, well, you can access the ERP from any device or any place with Wi-Fi. You could be on an airplane with Wi-Fi conducting business, or you could be traveling in a car for work. If you're on a 3G network or 4G network, you can access the ERP from any place that you have an internet connection. You are no longer limited to a dedicated machine or server. Also, while we're talking about the Azure and cloud, you still control your own instances, you still control your own code base, and you still own your own data. There's a lot of misconceptions out there that people say, well, I don't want to put everything of my own IP or my own business into the Microsoft cloud. Well, guess what? You still own all of those pieces. You are just leveraging the technology that Microsoft has in place to use that. Also, as Bob mentioned, you only pay for what you use. That scalability feature is something that is revolutionary in this ERP space. So you only pay for what you use, and then you can ramp up and scale your business with the application. We have a lot of customers that will implement core financials only and then add on manufacturing, production, those types of capabilities. The system is designed to enable you to grow, or for the system to match your business needs, and you only pay for what you use. So as I click in the application itself, I'm going to start by clicking over here on the left for our navigation pane. Similar to a web browser, we can tag our favorites within the application. In this case, if I need to come and access purchase orders frequently, I can tag it as a favorite. In addition to favorite, the application also keeps track of all of the recent forms that I've been in. So this way, if I am a power user and I'm working in multiple different modules or forms, I can easily come back to my recents tab up here and go and find the different forms that I've been working in from a recent standpoint. Also, we have what are called workspaces. These are the tiles over here on the right. I'll cover those in just a minute. But this does give me the ability to put all of my workspaces in list format on the left. And then, as I talked about earlier, traditional ERPs, everything is going to be broken down by module. And in this case, I'll just open up accounts payable module and show you that there are a number of different forms and features, whether it be setup parameters or setting up policies, determining how am I going to do my invoice matching, where I can come in here and I can specify all the various out-of-the-box inquiries and reports. I can get to my vendor master, a whole list of comprehensive information within the module. I did want to point out that Microsoft has gone to great lengths to simplify this process in what are called workspaces, and that's what these tiles are here. Before I jump into that, I wanted to talk to you about the Microsoft ecosystem as a whole. I'll choose our breadcrumb bar here in the task pane and just show you all of the different apps that are available within Dynamics 365. I'm sure if you've been working in business before, you're probably well aware of the Microsoft Office products, Excel, OneNote, Outlook, Word. All of those features are available in here as apps. And as I mentioned, they are fully embedded into the solution, not just integrated. In addition to these Microsoft-based apps, we have the ability to go out and launch what is called AppSource directly through Microsoft. These are additional apps essentially to add horsepower to your solution if it is something that is industry specific, or if you need an additional kind of reporting engine, whatever it may be. So AppSource is Microsoft's own version of their App Store. You are able to come out here, you're able to browse and search all the different apps. In this case, we can filter it by, Dynamics 365. We are looking at the finance and operations application today. I can then come and I can look at categories. I'll just go ahead and choose operations and supply chain. I can even filter this out by industry. So if I choose healthcare and life science, when I do that, you will see that we actually have our own intellectual property and our own solution for our life science customers called MaxLife. It is here out on the AppSource with Microsoft. Instead of diving into this specifically, I did just want to let you know that all of the apps that are located on AppSource have been fully vetted out by Microsoft. There is a lengthy approval process, so don't feel like if you find something out here, it's going to wreak any havoc on any of your systems or applications. They go through a lengthy approval process with Microsoft to make sure that the system does support those applications. Now, coming back to the personalization piece, I talked before about the workspaces. So D365, or we call it D365 short for Dynamics 365 for operations, they have a lot of options for making the system more easy to navigate, as well as personalize. So as I mentioned before, if I open up my modules, or if I look at my accounts payable module here, there's a lot of information. And for users that are working across multiple modules, it can be difficult to navigate back and forth between different modules and all of the different forms. Well, Microsoft has created what are called workspaces, and that's what these tiles are from our home page. Simply, all I have to do is click into a workspace, and it's going to bring up all of the pertinent information for that user's role. So if I am a user in my business and I am doing a lot of bank management, all I have to do is launch my bank management workspace, and it's going to bring up a snapshot of all of the pertinent pieces for that particular bank management. What you're seeing here on this screen, I am logged in with administrator access rights, so I am showing all of the different modules. But what's great about Dynamics 365, it comes with a number of security roles out of the box. So all you have to do is assign your personnel or your employees to those particular user roles, and then only the applicable workspaces and modules will be shown. So I will go ahead and launch a separate browser. In this case, I am logged in as an AP manager. So as you can see, the number of workspaces has been limited to one to access for my particular user. And in this case, I'll show you I am logged in as the AP manager. So I will go ahead and show you how easy it is not just to utilize these workspaces, but to personalize them as well. If I am someone that works in AP and I process vendor payments, I can launch my vendor payments workspace. Almost all of the workspaces are similar in that we're going to have our summary tiles on the left, our list pages of transactions in the middle, and then over on the right have the ability to get to other related information, whether or not be reports or setup. So from vendor payments, I get a quick, easy snapshot. In this case, I can see my vendor pay run. I have checks not posted. I have electronic payments that sent that need bank confirmation. I can get to all my vendors or look at my vendors on hold. But what if I wanted to personalize this form to say, you know what, I'd really like to see all of my vendors past due also in a tile. I have the ability to easily come out to a module, and in this case, I will look up vendors past due. All I have to do is launch my vendors past due form. I can choose add to workspace. I'm going to add that to my vendor payments workspace as a tile. I'll choose configure, and I will put the name on the tile as vendors past due and show account. So I'll choose OK and close out of my workspace and come back to my vendor payments. And sure enough, I have a tile here showing my vendors past due with a count of 10. And I can quickly go ahead and launch directly right back into that form I was on before. I don't have to go all the way back through the module itself. So it's really a major time saver, and it only takes those pertinent pieces that I'm going to be working with on a day-to-day basis, puts them in a tile form, so I don't have to go navigate through hundreds of records or hundreds of forms on a day-to-day basis. Additionally, I also have the ability to personalize some of these pieces. In this case, if I want to look at my vendor pay run not posted, and I want to pin that to my dashboard, I can just choose personalize and then pin to dashboard and then close off of this. And as I close and come back to my home screen in finance and operations, you will see I have a count over here for my vendor pay run not posted that I have 7 records that I need to post for the day. We jokingly say that you can set all of these tags up on your dashboard for your day-to-day jobs. And when your count goes down to 0, you can clock out and go home for the day. So I did want to just quickly go over some of the security roles that are available out of the box. I will go ahead and just quickly show that to you. As I mentioned before, these are all out of the box security roles. You know, in this case, we have accounts payable manager. So as you install or implement Microsoft Dynamics 365 for operations, if you assign your AP manager to this AP manager role, they are going to get all of the base security role functionality out of the box. Yes, you can tweak it, but it's great because you get 70, 80, 90% of the way there without having to reinvent the wheel for every single user. So it's an incredibly beneficial time saver. in terms of having those pre-built roles and having these workspaces already catered to those roles out of the box. One of the next pieces I did want to show you are what are called task guides. You can see this logo here for Rapid 365. It's one of the solutions that we offer at Merit Solutions. And what makes Rapid 365 so great is two pieces. One, it's a methodology that allows us to deploy Microsoft Dynamics 365 for operations in a more quicker fashion. But we also have a product behind Rapid 365 that leverages what are called task guides. Task guides are a way to actually document and walk through the actual steps for the transactions within the ERP system itself. So just to show you how to access the task guide, there's a couple different ways. I can choose help, and I can search help, and I can go ahead and let's say I'm brand new to the system and I need to post a journal entry, but I forgot where I need to go. I am new. We just went live in Microsoft Dynamics 365. All I have to do is go ahead and type in journal. And from here, I find the pertinent result. I can choose create a journal entry. I will go ahead and launch create a journal entry. And it's going to actually walk me through these steps interactively. If I choose start the task guide, it's going to tell me exactly where to go. Go to general journal processing. So I will go ahead and go to general journal processing and go ahead and launch my journal. It's going to walk me through every single piece of all of these transactions, not just the task list over on the right. It's actually going to walk me through, and let me show you what that looks like. So I'll go ahead and go to general journals. It's now going to tell me to click new to create a new general journal. So I will go ahead and do that. And from here, it's going to ask me to select the row, choose the name, insert my, my ledger account number, all the way through the general journal posting. I don't want to spend too much time going through the task guide from end to end, but I did want to show you how it works just from a high level in the system and how it walks you through those tasks. And I did want to showcase as part of our Rapid 365 offering, I'll go ahead and launch our task recorder and pull up our Lifecycle Services library that we have posted, or I should say we have hosted within Lifecycle Services. These are what are called our business process modelers. And as you can see, as part of our Rapid 365 solution, we have tasks in addition to pre-configured environments that will allow us to come in and, let's say in this case, if for general ledger, I have all of these documented steps and pre-configurations to process all of these tasks within an ERP system. It's a great way to accelerate an implementation for any industry. So we have a lot of customers that will use this as a starting point for their implementation. In this case, general journal entry or create journal entry might get you 80–90% of the way there. So what we do as part of the Rapid solution, we will host workshops with you. We will go through the pre-configuration and then also these predefined steps that we have, make sure that they meet your needs, do a gap fit, and then let's say we need to add an additional step, or we need to add 3 steps or remove 1 step. That is the only work that we have to do. We don't have to build this starting at 0. We start at a point that is pretty far along in the process and enables us to focus on the value add instead of spending a lot of our time in a ERP deployment building or designing a solution from the ground up. We already use best practices from our experience and through industry best practices as well. So let's move on from the Rapid 365 library. The next thing I wanted to show you was some of the Power BI in the dashboards, in the workspaces. Some of you are probably familiar with Power BI as a standalone app, and we'll get into that a little later on. But Dynamics 365 has gone a step further, and they have actually pulled Power BI dashboards directly into a number of these workspaces. For example, I'm going to go ahead and launch our CFO overview workspace. And from this workspace, the system and Power BI is going to pull the data in real time. As you can see, we have our cog spinning up here, and it is refreshing our dashboard with real-time Power BI data directly from the database. So from the CFO overview, wanted to point out some of the features we've been seeing used a lot, or a lot of our CFOs or VPs that have been using the system. They find particular dashboards like this to be incredibly valuable. It allows them to go ahead and launch, in this case, the CFO workspace, and get an immediate view of their revenue. On the top row, we have current ratio, working capital, our margins, debt to total assets, our COGS, our EBITDA. Also, we can get a quick little snapshot of our trial balance. Do I need to go within the application and go generate a trial balance report? I can get this baked out in summary view right onto my dashboard. So I get this instant shot of how my company is performing in that real-time instance. So it's not something that I need to extract this data out to Excel, have a team of data analysts scrub and massage data for 2 or 3 days, or maybe it's 2 or 3 weeks or months. And by the time I get my reports, that data is now stale. I'll just move across some of the other tabs on this piece. I'll choose revenue and expense insights. In this case, I have the ability to actually drill into a heat map or look at my revenue by region. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and scroll in, and I will choose Texas. And what's going to happen is all of my calculations up top are going to update. My revenue and expenses down here is going to update to map to Texas itself. Same thing with my expenses by region. It's going to showcase those based on Texas. So the ability to drill down, in this case, it was to one particular state. It's incredibly powerful and gives me a great graphical representation. The Subledger Insights tab, another great feature to showcase Power BI. In this case, I can look at my top 10 products by revenue. If I want to look at my projector television, I should go ahead and choose projector television and select it, and it's actually going to pull up all of my different customers that purchase my projector television. I can click on it again to reset the filters. I can come back down to my top 10 revenues by customer, in this case, Pelican wholesalers. I click on Pelican, and guess what? It's going to show the top 10 products that are particular to Pelican. Same thing, if I click over on Contoso Europe, it's going to show us their top products by revenue as well. I can track my purchases by month. There are some AP pieces, track my spend by month. I can look at customer age balances. I can get immediate snapshot of my bank account balances. Keep in mind, this is all in one place, all in one dashboard, or all in one workspace. That's called the CFO overview. One of the new compelling pieces to these dashboards, at least from a financial standpoint, is the addition of financial reports, both directly within Dynamics 365 for operations. We no longer have to go out and launch a separate management reporter or financial reporting engine. I can now generate all my financial reports directly within Dynamics 365, and I can actually access a lot of these reports, depending on which ones I use more frequently, directly within these dashboards. So if I click into my 12-month trend income statement, it's going to launch my financial report that I have already generated. I also have the ability to drill down on these reports. In this case, it is set to rows, but if I want to look at this in column format and I want to break out these quarters by month, I can go ahead and do that. I will just choose columns and drill down, and as you can see, I have now expanded my financial report to give me the activity, my sales activity, through all of these different months. To take this even a step further, I have the ability to click through the values within the financial reports to then work my way back to the particular voucher or the transactions that make up that balance. In this case, I chose an intercompany receivable account. I'll go ahead and choose voucher transactions. And from here, this shows me all of the vouchers that have been, or voucher transactions that have posted to that particular account. From here, I can choose original document. And keep in mind, what I'm showing you right now is similar to drilling back to any transaction in the system. You don't have to go through this dashboard, but I did want to show you the power to do that. You can do this on almost every financially posted transaction within the system to work your way back to the original document. In this case, what I've done is I have worked my way back to our invoice journal that we have for Contoso Europe. It shows us the sales order number, the items that were on the sales order, the site, the warehouse, the quantities, the prices, were there discounts, if there was sales tax, what the margin was. So I get all of this visibility, being able to drill back directly from that CFO overview dashboard. We find this to be one of the game changers in the ERP space. We're getting a lot of feedback from C-level employees that are using this to explore and getting that instant pulse of their organization, but also the ability to drill in and dig down and say, okay, well, what really made up, or what really comprises that balance? Why is that high? Why is that low? Being able to drill in and get back to that transaction level is incredibly important. I did also want to bring up the ability to add filters to these Power BI dashboards. As you can see over on the right, we have this this filter column. I will go ahead and open this up, the filter column. What we're looking at here is just the CFO overview for one of our companies. So Dynamics 365 supports a number of different legal entities all under one application. In this case, these are all different companies that are set up within the Dynamics 365 for Operations platform. This is great if you're processing consolidations, or if you are mapping companies, or if you just want to control all of your entities through one application. But what's great about this report too is I don't have to limit this just to my USMF company. I can go ahead and select multiple different companies. I'll just choose the DEMF organization as well. I'll click off of the filter, and as you can see our cog spinning up here, it's actively going out and it's referencing all of the financial information from DEMF, and it is pulling it right into our financial overview dashboard. So it allows me to assess the performance of all of my organizations side by side. In this case, I can look at, expenses, budget expenses between USMF and DEMF, total revenue and budget revenue, cash flow between all of my companies. So a lot of power, but yet flexibility and great graphical representations of how my business is doing on a day-to-day basis. I will say just in the last 3 months, we have seen a whole new edition of content packs that Microsoft has released to these dashboards and added to the application. It's almost like, how would you like to add more horsepower to your car with a quick system enhancement at no additional cost? That's what you're going to get with these applications. The Power BI, the IoT, all of those enhancements in technology, they all come included with Microsoft Dynamics 365. I did want to show you some of the other Power BI dashboards that are actually included within the application. We do see a lot of our customers using this from a sales standpoint. So they want to measure sales and profitability performance. So this is taking that CFO overview and really making it more specific to sales, not just overall performance of my business. So what I'll do is I'll come over to my filter, and I'm just going to set this so that so the filter runs for all years, not just the current year. So when I do that, I can look at my top 10 customers by revenue. I can click into each of these customers, and it's going to automatically apply filters across my different graphs. I can also dive into some of the details here. If I wanted to choose the focus mode, I can do that. If I want to highlight this, I can also choose the show the data within the dashboard. So not only do I get the graph, but I get this from a more of like an Excel format or a list to show me that performance. All of these Power BI dashboards that you're seeing here are going to have the same functionality. Being able to click into each of these pieces and have all my charts and graphs automatically update. It's a really nice feature to have. It allows you to identify anything that you need to, or I should say outliers that you need to address within your organization. I'll just move through a few more of these tabs. We look at revenue by product. In this case, we can look at track our revenue by sales category. These are all pieces that a lot of our customers today, they do not have the ability to get this level of detail, especially with real-time data. A lot of times it takes a lot of effort to work their way back to gain this visibility to say, holy cow, our revenue on television is almost 3 times more than any one of our other products. Or our gross profit on our auto audio systems. Wow, look at this. It's really not that. Our gross profit is really small compared to some of our other business lines. So being able to pull this in and actually make these decisions in real time. I said the word consumable data before, but that's really what it is. It's taking this information, putting it in a format that's easy to digest or easy to read and actually make business decisions rather than spending a whole bunch of time from a data analyst side of things, extracting information, and then scrubbing it, hoping that it's accurate and hoping that it's not stale. I will move through some of the other tabs. Revenue by period. I can look at my revenue by month. I can get a picture of my revenue by sales category, trailing revenue variance year over year. These are all pieces that, you know, in this case on the sales side, these are all compelling data points that you are able to look at and analyze the performance of your business. I showed you the heat map before on the CFO overview workspace. On the sales performance, same thing. If I click into the West, it will actually drill down and focus on the West region. It's going to show me my total revenue by this particular region. If I even want to drill down further, I can select each individual piece. In this case, I chose Nevada, and Nevada has 6.57 million in revenue. All I have to do is click off of these pieces to reset my filters and bring us back to the overall heat map. Just the ability to drill down and select these different pieces by state. I choose Georgia and it tells me exactly. So having that ability to actually just come in and drill into that data, but also get a great visual representation. I can't tell you how powerful it is, or I can't tell you enough how much great feedback we've been getting. Another piece that we have been seeing a lot of use out of is this customer profitability. If we look at the revenue and gross margin by customer, we can look at it over a period of time. And what I'll do is I'll just click into some of these different areas here. If I click into March 2015, it's going to show us our data point. In this case, Birch Company had revenue of 29 million, but a gross margin of 72.85%. And I can click into these different date ranges and I can track that movement. If there has been any change, I also have the ability to click play, and I can actually I can view this as it moves along from left to right in time. So I can actually see these trends or my customers from a sales and profitability performance perspective as they roll across this graph from, in this case, January 2015 to February 2018. So it's really nice, I mean, to be able to put this in a format that I can actually see the visual representation. I can see the trends. I don't have to just go out and look at a number. I can just actually come in here, run this dashboard, and get all of the data right at my fingertips. To take Power BI another step forward, I did mention that a lot of the Power BI pieces are now embedded into the workspaces, what I just showed you, but I did want to talk about some of the natural query language that's available in Power BI. What is natural query language? Well, essentially it is the ability to explore and drill into your data at an ad hoc basis. Yes, Power BI dashboards can easily be built to create all of these graphs and charts that are specific to your business and your industry. In this case, we're looking at a procurement analysis sample. So these are all things that on a day-to-day basis for my job or my user's role, I can come in and I can look at this and I can track the performance of my company. I can look here, total invoice by month and category. But what if I want to actually drill into some of these pieces without having a predefined graph? Well, it's quite easy. All I need to do is go ahead and use what's called natural query language to go ahead and start searching my data or querying my data in an ad hoc fashion. If I wanted to look at my total invoices, all I have to do is start typing in total invoices, and Power BI is smart enough to know what I am looking for with its smart search. So I can just go ahead and choose total invoice. It's going to bring up that total invoice dollar value, I can take this a step further. And this is where it starts to get really interesting. I could say total invoice by vendor and go ahead and click on that. And sure enough, it's going to pull up all of the total invoices by vendor name that I have for those transactions posted within my ERP. If I wanted to filter this down even further, I could say total invoice by vendor table in California. Instead of California, I could say I want to look at my total invoices by vendors in New York. Or I could even go as far to say, I want to look at them in New York and California and compare them side by side. And here I get both my total invoices by vendor and vendor state, both California and New York, all on the same graph. So that was what I had covered today. I know we went through a lot. I hope you have some questions. I don't know if there's anything that we have that's popped up right now. But I'd be happy to answer some questions either here within the demo or at a later date. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Bob and Josh, and we will go from there. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Bob. I am monitoring the questions, and I'm not seeing anything right now. So we can give it 1 second to see if anyone has questions. I don't know, Bob or Chris, if you have any final parting comments. Otherwise, if we don't have any questions, we can give everyone 20 minutes of their day back here.
I appreciate everybody joining. And again, if you did have questions, didn't feel like presenting them here, you can send them along to Josh.
Yep, so I will follow up with a recording of this, and then if you have any questions, please feel free to reply to that email, and I'll make sure we pass it on to Bob or Chris or whoever else needs to be involved to answer those questions. Since we don't have any questions lined up, I'll go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you again, everyone, for your time. Have a great day.